What's good, TBC fam? It's your boy DB Clips.
And it's your girl, Bobby B.
And you guys are tuning into the Boykins Chronicles.
The channel that's headed to the top.
Because we can't be stopped. All right, guys, today we are back with another video. I just want to, first and foremost, just say that we apologize to everybody for the extra long hiatus that we have taken. We took this hiatus for a great reason, and it was definitely needed. But we are back. Just want to say that we are definitely going to try to make sure that we upload as much content as possible from here on out so that you guys can have content from us. You know what I mean? You guys deserve content from us. So we're definitely going to make sure we do that. But and now, like I said, we're going to pretty much kind of explain why we've been gone for the extended amount of time that we've been gone. So we're going to hop right into this video. All right, guys. So before we took this extended hiatus, we pretty much announced that we were pregnant with our third child. You know, initially everything was going well whenever we announced, but we ended up going to a doctor's appointment and some things were pretty much, I guess, abnormal, and they weren't, you know, the baby wasn't growing the way that it should have.
I mean, I wouldn't say abnormal. We went to our first ultrasound on Halloween, and the baby did have a heartbeat, but it was measuring 2 weeks behind, but the heart rate was normal. And the ultrasound tech actually was like, you probably, you know, we'll see if they'll let you get another scan in 2 weeks. And with my history of having miscarriage before both of our daughters we have now, it's kind of what I was used to in Charlotte, but I was going to a different office for this pregnancy that we miscarried. But basically, I ended up going and getting an ultrasound from a lady I had gone to with her own business with my other pregnancies, and the baby had stopped growing and there was no longer a heart rate mid-November, around what would have been 8 weeks. Technically would have been 10 weeks, but due to size, I was backdated 2 weeks. And so my body was holding on to this pregnancy and was not showing any signs of miscarriage. So then from there started like a whole cascade of things to where I found this information out and I had to relay it to the providers at the new office I was going to. Da Vinci can speak to this. I'm not your normal patient. Obviously a registered nurse, but I work in the NICU. But with our history of having a miscarriage before Kalea and a miscarriage before Kaya, I'm very informed on how to conceive, ovulation. I usually know when I ovulate and more than likely conceived within that time period and know my dates. So when stuff does come back off, it does kind of worry me. So when I was taking this information to the office, I sent a message through the portal kind of explaining to them that my history with my parents, because even though I've been there twice, they don't really know me. They don't have a relationship with me. And I honestly feel like providers don't always listen to their patients well. And me being a nurse, and I know I'm informed and educated, I start to feel a type of way. So I messaged in on the portal with a nurse practitioner that I had seen at my first appointment, and she never messaged me back. So I started to get very irritated, and I could see through the portal that she had read the message. So I took it upon myself to send another message, even more detailed, to the OB that I was going to be seeing at the next appointment, like the following week. I explained to her I had made this ultrasound due to my history of usually having 2 ultrasounds 2 weeks apart due to growth and all of that with my losses. That, you know, my first pregnancy was IUGR, I was induced. My second pregnancy was more so uneventful as much, just had GDM. Just explaining to her the background, basically trying to, makes me feel like I kind of have to prove myself, especially to new providers, that I know what I'm talking about. Because as a patient coming to her saying, hey, I basically confirmed this miscarriage by an ultrasound that was not done at your office, they're going to be skeptical. Like, okay, what is she talking about? And why would she even do this? But again, I'm a nurse, and so I know things that I can do that your regular person in the community that does not work in the medical field would not have done. Finally, she did message me back, and she was actually really nice, and I did enjoy having to go through that terrible time with her because she was attentive. But I messaged her and she messaged me back, letting me know, you know, they could try to squeeze me in a little bit sooner, or I could wait till the next week. And I told her I didn't mind waiting till the next week because I really wanted to see if my body would start to miscarry naturally. The week went by to the day since I had found out about the miscarriage. And when I went in, she did agree to go ahead and do like an ultrasound at the appointment on spot. Now, Da Vinci was not there for none of this. It was kind of like, I don't remember what he had going on, but it was just one of those things I had went by myself. We had been through before. I wasn't really pressed for him to go just because with our second pregnancy it was COVID and he wasn't allowed to go. So in my head it was like, oh, we sadly had miscarriages before. I was like, I'll just go by myself. So she confirmed a miscarriage. My body was still holding on to the pregnancy, but there was no heart rate, there was no growth. And so then she presented me with my options, which were 1, wait and see. Now at this point it's like a week or 2 before Thanksgiving. And so I should have been like 10 or 11 weeks. So she's like, you can wait and see if you miscarry. And I'm like, okay, well, how many weeks are you comfortable with waiting, considering it's already been, I think, 2 or 3 weeks that my body's been carrying this pregnancy that's not showing signs to pass. And she was like, typically you can wait, as long as you want, but 2 to 3 weeks. Or you can take the medication to cause the miscarriage, or you can have the surgery at DNC. But we can dive into Da Vinci's feelings. He's always very reserved around when we have miscarriages. He never really talks much about how he feels about it. I know he's disappointed, but he's not as emotional as me.
She said a mouthful, obviously. So.
I said a lot, sorry.
She said a lot. But, well, first and foremost, the other thing that she did leave out is the fact that the exact same day that we found out that she would be having a miscarriage, we also found out the actual gender of the baby.
Well, I found out and didn't tell you.
She found out and she didn't tell me.
I did a sneak peek test, the at-home blood test that when I would have been 7 weeks is when you can do it. So I had done it and sent it in, and I had gotten that email and literally drove to my ultrasound. And so,
but she didn't tell me until after the fact. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think it was months.
But
later.
I mean that wasn't anything. It wasn't anything that I was mad about or anything like that. But as far as the way that I actually dealt with the loss, like she said before, we actually had 2 miscarriages before. I think I was to a point, especially with the first miscarriage, to where it was hurtful at that particular point in time, because it was the first one, obviously. And during that particular point in time in our lives, not to go into detail, but, I had times where I wasn't the best husband. I was causing a lot of stress and all kind of different things like that. So that miscarriage, actually it hurt me in a different way than the last 2 did. And I think it was more so because, I had already kind of gotten to a point to where it was it almost, and I don't want this to sound bad or to be insensitive to other people out there that's had miscarriages, but it's almost whenever you have that one, it's kind of like the ones that follow after, at least for me. And I know she's maybe a little different, but at least for me, I kind of became somewhat insensitive to it. And I think it's a lot of times it's because obviously she's the one that's, the baby is growing or whatever inside of her. And I don't necessarily have that attachment with the baby initially, you know what I mean? Especially with it being so early within the pregnancy. So for me, a lot of times it's one of those things to where I'm real big into prayer and, just understanding and believing that, whatever God has in store for us as a family, then it will be, you know what I mean? And even with the first 2 miscarriages that we had, after those 2 miscarriages, we ended up having 2 beautiful rainbow babies, in Kalea and Kaya. I kind of hold on to that. And even honestly, even at that particular point in time, I had got to a point to where it was I think as I mentioned it to you, but I had even said that I would actually be okay with not even having any more kids at one point in time.
I think you were on and off about it. I think you wanted a 3rd one, but we didn't really feel like any time was going to be right.
Right.
We honestly, even the pregnancy now, I think we thought we would wait.
Yeah, a little
until
longer.
Kalea and Kai were more 3 and 5 until we were pregnant.
Yeah.
And we're going to come close to that, but just with us living in an apartment and still trying to figure out what's next for us. And we are very busy people, career wise. I think that's why you were kind of we feel like the older they get, the easier it gets in a sense of, they can walk, and then Kalea's fully potty trained, and then Kaya's up next and starting all over. Yeah. It's just kind of one of those things. We're not out of the baby stage, but it's kind of if we wouldn't have gotten pregnant right now and say I was on birth control and they reached 4 and 6, we probably would have not had any more, I feel like. Or I don't know.
We
I don't think we would have had large gaps. But anyways.
But I will say, it's crazy because a lot of people, like once we actually put it out on social media that, you know, we were pregnant, we just didn't want to deal with the explanations of, you know, what happened. This is at that particular point in time, because, you know what I'm saying, we were grieving and stuff like that at that time. And so that's why the hiatus was extended to as long as it was. Now, however, I want to say approximately 2 months after we had the miscarriage.
So we miscarried like fully at the end of November. I started my first period January 1st. And I don't know if you remember, it was a Sunday. I was very mad. I was like very upset. I think for me, and Nancy had no clue, but we got pregnant that cycle in January. I found out I was pregnant right after Kaya turned 2, like 2 weeks later.
Within 2 months, we got pregnant again.
What I do tell myself with a miscarriage is kind of like Da Vinci says, but it's always a little more emotional and personal for me. I do tend to heal through it much quicker because I've been through it, but it becomes very personal for me because I start to question my body. I turn inwards a little bit. Like, I'll talk about it, but I'm an overthinker and start to like analyze myself. Like, why does my body hate me? Why is this a pattern? Because this is a pattern at this point. I have a miscarriage, have a baby. I have a miscarriage, I have a baby. I have a miscarriage, I have a baby. And I was like, why do all of my babies have to be rainbow babies?
Yeah.
Like, granted, I love them.
We're destined to have rainbow babies.
But it's like, why do I have to go through a loss every time? And then you meet these people who've never had a loss in their life. And it's like, I just don't understand, because, I mean, I'm not the healthiest person where I'm not a vegan or anything, but I feel like I try to take care of myself the best way I know how. And I know after my first miscarriage, I work in the NICU, and I try really hard not to judge people, but I would question God, like, how can this person be drinking and doing drugs, and then there's this beautiful baby in the NICU that I'm having to help withdraw, and then I lost my baby. Like, it sadly becomes one of those very ego-driven things, like why them and not me, which I hate to say out loud, but I'll talk about anything. So that's just how I really felt, especially after that first one. And then even after the other ones, it's just kind of like, not that people aren't deserving, but I just felt like I try to do everything quote unquote right and be mindful of my water, like, you know, the little things. But at the end of the day, a big thing that Da Vinci and I need to hit on at some point in the video is I do have rheumatoid arthritis, which was a diagnosis that came after my first miscarriage. And so I don't keep on talking too long, my acupuncturist finally kind of gave me some closure as to why I have miscarriages, because I feel like medical doctors in the US aren't as holistically approaching the body. I feel like Western medicine does a better job. After his first or second assessment of me and palpating and doing all the things for my treatment, he noted that, you know, obviously with my RA, I have high heat in my body, which is inflammation. I had liver stagnation, which leads to decreased blood flow to my reproductive organs. So his theory, which kind of gives me comfort for an answer of why, is that basically when I get pregnant, even though I have normal cycles and I'm fertile, when I get pregnant, that the pregnancy is probably not receiving as much blood flow as it should. And so the miscarriage that happens is a way of cleaning everything out thoroughly so that there's healthy tissue for the next pregnancy. And honestly, as a nurse, that makes perfect sense to me. And so I love Dr. James. He's here where we live. After he told me that, I feel like it was in December, I kind of just moved forward with, well, all of our other pregnancies after miscarriage have been fine, so hopefully things have been fine. And I just plan to stay consistent with my acupuncture because I did take a break for a few years after having our girls. But for me, that's just something that really helps me heal, I feel like, physically and mentally through all the things that I go through in life. So
yeah, I mean, so that's kind of everything in a nutshell of why we actually, you know, took an extended hiatus, just to kind of get ourselves together, to get our mentals right. Like I said, we're super busy individuals as far as, you know, our day jobs and everything. So
we are pregnant.
Yeah.
I'm 22 weeks and gosh, how many days? What's today? I work night shift past 2 nights. So today's Wednesday. So I'm 22 in 2 days or 22 in 3 days. This pregnancy is actually flying by because I feel like I don't have time to, like, I take care of myself, but I don't have time to like focus on it as much with 2 children.
Bask. Yeah, now that we have 2 children, we can't really bask.
So I feel like it's going to hit September And we're due the first week of October, but my other
October,
two girls
baby.
have come at 37 weeks. One was induced and 37 and 5. The other one came on her own. So I'm hoping I can make it to 38, 39 weeks. You know, that would be ideal. But whatever happens, also working the NICU makes me a psycho. So
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's a safe spot until the baby's here crying. And then even then, I worry about SIDS. So
Yeah.
just hoping to get the baby here crying and okay and all the things is kind of what I worry about.
Always gonna worry as a parent. I feel like, you know,
Yeah.
no matter what. But
And we do have a gender reveal video.
yes, we do. Definitely got some good content coming from you guys. We have our gender reveal coming. Obviously, we actually already know what the gender of the baby is.
We have known since March.
But we're gonna reveal it to the masses. So we do have this gender reveal video that is actually in the works as we speak, and plenty of other content that you guys will have coming your way. So we just wanted to share this with you guys today, just to let you guys know where we have been.
Yeah.
And like I
If
said,
I feel like, sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
If y'all want more content around like our previous losses, we can definitely dive into that. Or my RA diagnosis, our relationship going through that first miscarriage.
Yeah.
It was very hard, I feel like, on me and DaVinci. And so like we kind of were up and down. So if you want more content around that, just comment and let us know. I don't mind talking about it, and DaVinci usually doesn't mind talking about it. So
yeah, I mean, we're willing to share. Definitely gonna have more content on the baby bump here as well.
I thought you were about to say more babies.
No.
This is supposed to be the last.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing that I want to talk about. So we do know that the baby is due October.
Yes.
Right? October, first week of October.
October 8th.
October 8th, right? I'm done having kids.
Oh gosh. We'll vlog this experience. How about that?
Done having kids, you know what I mean? I said back earlier on in the video, I was talking about how at one point in time I was like, you know, after having the 2 and then we had the miscarriage, I kind of questioned. I was like, well, you know, should we have more? You know, but I had already kind of promised Bobby that, you know, three was the number. I've always said 3 was the number that
you were just like 3 is my max.
Three is the max.
And my max
but that was
4.
the promise. But she's always said 4, but I didn't know. No. So 3 is the number. I will say that. Now, you got me on camera saying that now.
Babe, I tell everybody in the world that's what you said. You said that since college.
So with that being said, what I am trying to do as an individual is, as soon as the baby is born, you know, maybe a few weeks after, I am actually going to get a vasectomy. I said it on camera.
I said it's my Christmas. I've been telling people it's my Christmas present.
I'm saying this on camera now. I'm going to get a vasectomy. I love having kids. Not too keen on the whole,
baby,
like she said, like the whole starting over phase.
Yeah.
But I definitely love my girls. And ready and excited to see, well, to let you guys know what the next baby is. Yeah, we're gonna move along with that, and once we have this baby, our family will be complete.
Yeah, it's bittersweet.
From here on out, you know, that's it.
Maybe we'll adopt one day.
No, no. This is it. So we just want to thank you guys for taking the time out to watch this video. If you guys have not subscribed to our channel, please feel free to do so right now. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like for real, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you guys leave comments in the comment section. Remember about, you know, certain topics or whatever the case may be that you guys want us to talk about. Yeah, so share this video as well. You guys are tuned in. The Boykins Chronicles. Thank you, and we'll be back with another video.
Bye.